Hi, class. It's Miss Martin. How are you guys doing this wonderful Thursday? I hope your week has been all right. I hope that you are learning a lot this week and growing in your understanding of the world. What we've been talking about these past few days is the word activism and what activism means. Then we moved on from activism to how to create digital activism and the different ways that you can become a digital activist yourself. You had to think about with writing, you had to think about one thing that you would really like to change, whether that be social, how people are interacting with one another, or maybe it was educational, something within the school day that you would like to change, or maybe it was something you wanted to change with how we treat our earth and how we can be more environmentally conscious of our actions. So what we're going to be looking at today is we are going to be looking at how in a poem they were able to be an activist. They were able to, this poet was able to be an activist about social problems that she was noticing. The poem that we're going to be reading today, I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see that poem. Okay, right here. The poem that we're going to be reading today is Equality by Miss Maya Angelou. We actually read about a poem from her earlier on this year. The poem that we read earlier on from her this year was called Caged Bird. This one's called Equality. So a little background about her is she's published several books of poetry as well as many works inside of those books. So here you can see a picture of her, one of the most well-recognized poets of all time. So if you see right here, I am reading some information about the poet. So we have some background information about her before we get started reading her poem. So it says, one of the most well-recognized poets of all time. She was also an active person during the Civil Rights Movement. She also received a Presidential Medal of Honor in 2011. So Miss Maya Angelou was very impactful. She's very impactful as an activist for civil rights. So we're going to be reading today, not Caged Bird, that's the one that we've already read. We're going to be reading Equality. Okay, so first off, I'm just going to read it through, start from finish, because that's how normally we read through a poem, is we read through it start to finish the first time. We just kind of read for enjoyment. Then the second time we're going to read it to analyze each stanza or each paragraph, and then break it down even more and analyze each line. Like this is a line. This whole paragraph right here is called a stanza, though. So let's start off reading first just for enjoyment. You declare you see me dimly, through a glass which will not shine, though I stand before you boldly, trim and rank and making time. You do own to hear me faintly, as a whisper out of range, while my drums beat out the message and the rhythms never change. Equality and I will be free. Equality and I will be free. You announce my ways are wanton, then I fly from man to man. But if I'm just a shadow to you, could you ever understand? We have lived a painful history. We know the shameful past. But I keep on marching forward, and you keep on coming last. Equality, and I will be free. Equality, and I will be free. Take the blinders from your vision. Take the padding from your ears, and confess you've heard me crying, and admit you've seen my tears. Hear the tempo so compelling. Hear the blood throb through my veins. Yes, my drums are beating nightly, and the rhythms never change. Equality, and I will be free. Equality, and I will be free. So that was a really powerful poem, and that's kind of why I read it with some powerful voice. You heard my voice was going up and down, and it had some emotion behind it in different lines or different stanzas, because that's just what I would infer how our author, our poet would have said it, is she would have said it with some great emotions behind a certain line. So now what we're going to do is we are going to analyze it. We are going to look for some inferences. And while you're analyzing it and trying to make some inferences, I'd like you to think about two essential questions. My first essential question is, what does equality mean to Miss Maya Angelou? My second essential question is, while you're thinking about equality, I want you to think about how Miss Angelou was an activist using her poetry. So she was fighting for something. She was fighting for a change of something. What was she fighting for a change of? And how was she able to do that through her words? So as we look in the first stanza, I'm going to read it again, and then I'm going to point out a few lines that really stood out to me and made me think a bit more in between the words and in between the lines what she was trying to say. You declare you see me dimly through a glass which will not shine, though I stand before you boldly, trim in rank and making time. Okay, so to stop right there in that first stanza, what I see here is, in the first line, she says, you declare you see me dimly. When I think about that, I'm wondering, who is she, first off, who is she talking to when she says you are declaring something? I'm wondering, when she's saying you, is she talking to the reader who's reading this poem, or is she talking to a specific person? Or maybe she's talking to a group of people. Maybe a group of people are looking at her in a dimly way. When I say dimly, that means almost like the lights are kind of dim, like this room I'm in. I don't know if you notice it, but I did it on purpose. This room is not very bright. It's very dim. You can almost barely see me. And that's what I wanted to convey, that she feels like she is barely seen or barely recognized by whoever this you person is. Though she provides an almost like opposing thought, opposing idea. I stand before you boldly. That makes me wonder, what does she mean? How do we stand boldly in front of someone or a group of people? How do we, when I think of bold, I think of somebody who's very confident. So I'm wondering, is she thinking the same thing? Is she standing in front of this person very, very boldly and very strong and confident, and wondering, why is this person dimly seeing her, barely seeing her? Why isn't this person recognizing her? What is it something she's doing? Or is it something that you person, whoever you is not recognizing and being aware of her? I'm wondering, what is that barrier? There's almost a wall or a barrier that's holding that person back from actually seeing Maya. Let's continue on for the next stanza to analyze. You do own to hear me faintly, as a whisper out of range, while my drums beat out the message, and the rhythms never change. Okay, with that, it's interesting. I find, and something I was thinking as well, in the first stanza right here, it talks about a person not see, it talks about a different sense. It talks about seeing, eyesight. She's not being seen or recognized by whoever you is. Then in this stanza, she's talking about you again. And this stanza, she's saying basically whoever you is not hearing her though. So it's another sense that we have, but I'm wondering, why is this person not hearing her? Even though she provides that opposing thought. Her thought is, I'm like yelling at you. I'm drumming. You know, drums are very loud. They're like a yell. She's yelling. And she's not yelling just once. It says the rhythms are never changing. She's yelling consistently, asking to be heard from whoever this you person is. I'm wondering, why isn't you listening? I'm wondering, is it that you is trying to listen. Maybe they're trying to listen. It's just they haven't really harnessed that skill of active listening. And when I say harness, I mean they haven't practiced it enough. Active listening is when you are fully present in a moment. Hopefully you're active listening right now. You're present in the moment, and you are, instead of continuously thinking about all these different thoughts, you are actually paying attention to what that person is saying. You are hearing them out. That person could just not be active listening. Maybe they don't have that skill. Maybe it's something they need to practice more, is to stop thinking and to actually be present and listen to what the other is saying. Or maybe they are choosing. There's another idea. Maybe they're choosing to not listen. Maybe they are choosing to ignore Maya. We're not sure. We are not that you person. Let's go on a little bit longer and see. But I feel right now, after reading both of these stanzas, I feel kind of sorry for Maya. She just wants to be, it seems, I feel sorry for her because she just wants to be recognized. She wants to be seen. It says, I'm standing here like, hey, can you see me? I'm talking to you. Hey, I'm drumming the same beats, same rhythms. Can you hear me? And it gets exhausting when you keep on talking and you want to be noticed and no one notices you. That kind of reminds me of like when I was younger and I found it difficult in high school to make some friends because I felt like, hey, I'm here, I'm talking to you, I'm trying to be nice to you and form a relationship with you, but sometimes it feels like that person's ignoring you and they're not really looking at you and hearing you out. Then the last two lines are very interesting, and these two lines help us to answer that essential question. Equality and I will be free. Equality and I will be free. I noticed that she repeated the same words, the same phrase, equality and I will be free, equality and I will be free, twice. I'm wondering, why did she repeat herself? I'm thinking she repeated herself for a reason. It's very important, this equality. Whoever she is talking to or trying to be recognized does not see her as an equal. If you see someone as an equal, you're more likely to listen to them. You're more likely to see them and hear them out. She's feeling though, she will finally be free once that other person, the you, sees her as an equal, accepts her, listens, and sees her. So equality has a really big impact on her. That goes back to my essential question. What is equality? How does Mrs.Angelou, how does she define it? What does she think of it? What does it mean to her? What I'm thinking is it's something very important to her and significant to her. Once she is equal with somebody, she feels seen, she feels heard, accepted, she feels free. When we are seen and we are heard and accepted, sometimes we finally feel free to be ourselves. Thanks. Okay, so that concludes my lesson on poetry. Really love this poem. I'm gonna talk about it for days and days, but I just wanted to focus on those stanzas right there for you guys to really focus and think about how you can be your own advocate or your own activist for change through poetry, through writing. So she wants equality. She wants, as an African woman, she wants to be seen as an equal to anyone and everyone. I'd like you guys to think about that, and you are going to today, after this read aloud, going to write your own poem about creating that change. You're going to be an activist for whatever you want to change through poetry. You are going to make me fight for your cause, what you want to change, through literature and creating your own poem. So that's on our narrating. Look on your quick writes. Thanks, guys. Make sure you do the exit ticket as well. It has some my essential questions and how you guys make inferences and interpret these lines on the poem. Have a great Thursday. And remember, you are loved, you are missed, you are seen, and you are heard by me. Bye, guys.